Right, so today we've got a Uniden Uniace 100 and looks like we're getting our standard mic out. It's the later black fronted one. That escutcheon's coming off. I might, as a courtesy, do something about that for him. So, same problem, they have the capacitors that fail. I think we'll power this one up. All the escutcheons have come off. I hope this is a black one inside and not as earlier model as it looks from the front, from the back. Yeah, it's just that possibility that this is the silver one and it's had the front changed. I seem to recall that these are crystal filtered. That's now on its way to the floor, which will never be seen again. Right, I better have a piece of paper. We'll start writing down the details. Amazingly, we actually have a Uniden power lead on the bench. Midland 2001 Precision Series coming from an end user, so that could well be the next one. There's our standard replacement Uniden mic. Connect it to the test gear. This has been on for about 6 hours, so that's all going to be spot on. I did only switch the deviation meter on the other bench 10 minutes ago, so we won't be doing that straight away. I'll keep doing this. If it turns out to be right, we'll glue that on. Well, one of the things that the capacitors, we will be doing the capacitors on this. One of the things that plays up is you're not going to end up with a display if the 220 microfarad one fails. So let's see if it's got some volume. Yeah, dirty volume control. That's dirty squelch control, right? Speakers working. Right, I'll switch picture in picture on. We'll just quickly go through it. Remember, we can't change the frequency on this. Whatever it's on, it's what it's on. In their infinite wisdom, there's no trimmer capacitor. So we're on the 3 watt scale. We're obviously on low power. It's doing more than 3 watts. In fact, it's doing 3.7. Check the other channels. Channel 40, 3.6, channel 1, 3.7. Low power, 70 milliwatts. How low is that? And the current consumption is 859 milliamps on full power. Deviation, for what it's worth on this test set. Go back to channel 20. Wallow is 1.1. We'll be doing the VCO, that's important on these. 2779085. It's only just acceptable. If you go to 075, you're going to start finding it's going to be noticeably off frequency. It doesn't become illegally off frequency until you start to get something like 27025. So it's well within the legal limit, but I normally will say if it's over 100 it's okay. With it being the Uniden and it's not adjustable, all we can do is change the crystal. Where we're going to get another crystal from is the next problem. Every time I buy 10 of them, only one seems to work satisfactory. I can have them made for £35 each, and so it goes on. So we're best off with what it's got because it is acceptable. On the RF meter, it's actually in the correct position for the power it's doing. So we'll put the signal generator on and we'll set it for the frequency the radio's on. So 27, let's go over to the frequency counter. 2779085 we want. I'm not yet convinced this is the later model. So first of all we'll plug the PA speaker in. If I remember rightly, there's no control over the public address volume. It's just full whack all the time.
Testing 1 2.
Testing 1 2.
2. Testing 1 2.
So we'll now put our test equipment into the extension speaker socket. Yeah, one of the things I've got is why is this not showing centrally into the meter, into the window? You know, why is the display right up there? So we're on the test equipment now. We'll put the SINAD meter on. Oh, it's not where I want it to be. There it is. That's awful. Absolutely dreadful. Frequency check. 2779086. 2779087. So we're on frequency. Right. It is atrocious. This is a contrast to the Rotel 220 we just did. For 12 dB SINAD, it is 1.4 microvolts. I'm hoping it's being golden screwdrivered and it can be brought back. For 10 dB, it is 1.15. For 20 dB, I'll just knock the frequency, I'll just put that back right. Well, actually, believe it or not, it does do 20. I wasn't expecting that. It's 10. Squelch, turn the squelch to full. Never opens. There's a surprise, not. And threshold. Is an unusable, nearly as bad as the Team 8000 Pro. Is, just see what scale we're on. It's 3.7. The S meter, let's put the S9 on the test set. Do you notice the S meter's not that far out? It is 300 microvolts. Should be 100, but and the sockets work and the switches work. Right, time to take the lid off. Sure, this is a mock-up of a later one. We did have a later one very early on, about 2014, when we started doing these videos, and they'd bought it as an 80 channel set, and I had to, of course, make it into what it should be, which is a 40 channel set. And they were disappointed because they thought that it was legal to be 80, which it isn't. And you know, they're just victim of the same scam. I think it was, I'll be honest, I think it was Truck King doing that. Don't say that because they've gone. That's now the front bit on the floor again. We're going to have both lids off because I'm going to have to do the capacitors. So we should only have to do the 4, which we always have to do, both the 220s and both the 470s. Some of that strangled audio could be because of the 470s. As I've said many a times, if they haven't failed now, they're going to fail anytime soon. Unsolder that speaker. So I may be wrong, but I understood the later version was crystal filtered. That was part of its sales blurb. But this isn't. It's the normal ceramic filter. So why doesn't the display light line up? Why is there a hole in the display board? Why is the switch panel loose? It's a shame I don't have a genuine black one. I'm going to spray this squelch control in the hope that we don't have to put another one on. You know, if we get light on this, there's all glue marks on the front of the display. And you know, it's mounted higher than you'd expect, like it's the wrong display board. Sure, we've got plenty of ordinary Uniden 100s kicking around, but we haven't got plenty of black ones to compare. I can see, I think that's an audio line on the floor, and that is different at the front. Anyway, let's do the capacitors. So, on the 220. Red indicates, the dot indicates positive. It's that one, isn't it? That's 220, that's 470. These are glued as well, so that can become hygroscopic and end up absorbing moisture and being a problem. I'm going to probably do receive first and then take a break. I've got other things I need to do, so I know in my own mind whether this has an actual receive problem or whether it's just a retune that's required. Right, I'll get some capacitors. Well, I'm surprised there was any display at all. The two 470s are both open circuit. One of the 220s is open circuit and the other one's doing 33 microfarads instead of 220. So there we are, we'll get some new ones. These are on Nikon. Scrape away that glue just in case. I'll use a bigger tool than that. We did the field test for the Intech walkie-talkie. I don't know whether that will be published before this. I would think not. It didn't do as well as the Thunderpole or the President Randy, but I think it did a little bit better than the Midland 42. Two and a half to 3 miles on our difficult test route. Just make sure that's the right way in. And that one. The reel of solder has gone for a walk. And of course unravelled itself. About 45 quid a reel, this stuff. Right, if we can unravel it. So I'm going to do the VCO later because it means getting the service manual out for the details. Right, power back on. Yeah, that sounds so much better. Yeah, different radio. Right, quickly run through transmit. See if we can get 4 watts out of it. Probably got a fighting chance now. So, are we in the right meter? We are. So we're on channel 20. We're looking for, you know what? It's doing just over 4 watts straight away. Centre of the peak. That was slightly out. Centre of the peak. Can't remember whether that's transmit or receive. Soon find out. Transmit on these. So I'll get the service manual out in a moment, but I just want to kind of break the back of this, and then the power is adjusted with this one. There we are, dead on 4 watts. Oh, isn't that nice? So just check channel 40. Spot on 4 watts, channel 1. Spot on 4 watts. So the next thing we will do, low power. Which is now doing 550 milliwatts. (400 milliwatts). Back to normal power. Check where the meter is. Let's bring that up a fraction. Should be in the centre of the red zone. You're hitting me right into the strawberry patch. Current consumption is now 963 milliamps. So I'll do deviation when I come back. Let's just go through receive. 100 microvolts on the signal generator. Let's put the oscilloscope on the inset picture. It sounds like it's a bit out. Not really. Very marginal. Now I'm going to go through the IF next because it just doesn't sound right. Let's just get the SINAD meter such. I want the SINAD meter on the screen for you. It's that one. That was what was out, the blue one. I don't know whether that's a false lock point, so we'll come back to that. Right, so now we'll do the front end. Still sounds pretty awful. Right, we'll have to drop the signal back. I'll show you the attenuator, I think. No, what we'll do? No, we'll carry on with the SINAD meter. Drop the attenuator. You know what? Everything except the detector has been miles out. Yep, it's as good as we're going to get. Now they're supposed to be better than 1 microvolt. And it is 0.95 microvolts. .85 microvolts. .5 microvolts. See if we can get the squelch. By the way, here is down to about 0.27. Squelch. So I'll turn the squelch to full. just do this meter while we're at it. 100 microvolts. Squelch. At least it's coming in now at 3 millivolts, so see if we can now set that. Ah, deviation, what am I playing at? Squelch is there. Well, that's at minimum, and it's not quite where I want it. I'd like it to be 100 microvolts. It's 220 microvolts. At least it opens. And the minimum was an unusable 3.7 before, so let's see what we've managed to get that to. So set threshold on the radio. Signal generator, let's put the attenuator up on the screen. Signal generator on standby, parked at 0.3, switch it on. It nearly came in, didn't it, there? It's 0.6, that's great. Right, so basically we're there. I will just need to do deviation when I come back. We need to do the VCO. So I'll leave this on, and I'll be back in about an hour. Right, we're back with you, and let's see what the deviation is on the test set behind me. Wow, you know, it's about 2.9. Do you remember I twiddled it? No, well, that's a pen, not a... Wallow, wallow, wallow. It's peaking at 2.5. So we never will know what it really was, because I've gone and fiddled with it, hadn't I? Very low. Let's see what it reads on the Marconi test set, just for giggles. Wallow. Looks like we're off tune. 1 2 1 2. Wallow, wallow, wallow. It's spot on. Marconi test set's spot on at the moment. Good. So we've got a 2.2 average to 2.5 absolute peak. Let's see what the frequency now is. Everything's been on for a couple of hours. 27,79104. So I do like them to over 100. We were going to have to let it go, because otherwise, at least it was legal like that, but it's now very close to what it should be at 125. So there we are. That's worked out better. What we now need to do is the VCO, and then Bob's your uncle. I can never remember the procedure. What did we see that receive was 0.95 for 12 dB. So it's supposed to be between 3.4 and 4 watts on full power. It's supposed to be no worse than 1 microvolt for 10 dB, but we've got 0.85 for 10 dB, so we're well within. So on this set, which is the same as the realistic 2001, the test point is resistor 52. And I also need to just check, because we know this has been fiddled with, need to just check that L18 hasn't been messed with on receive. That might improve our receive, I don't know. Resistor 52, and the procedure is transmit, adjust L17 on channel 40. Change his glasses, might have to see something. 52's that one, isn't it, folks? Right, let's see where it is. I mean, it's been sealed. I'll put my soldering iron on just in case it isn't right. And we want channel 40, we're on channel 40, and we want on transmit there to be 3.5 volts on this. We're in transmit now. 3.58. Spot on. But it needs checking. Just because it's sealed doesn't mean it's sealed in the right place. So the final thing to do, we'll get back on the signal generator. Make sure we're on frequency. I'll now put the signal generator on the frequency we are now on, 2779104. So absolutely where we should be. Put the SINAD meter back on. Go to channel 20, that also helps. It was actually exactly where it should have been. So there we are. The squash control seems to have reacted fine to using the service cell switch cleaner. It's 3.5 volts, 3.5 volts. So that didn't need adjusting. So I'll put this back together. I've got a Midland 2001 in. We said earlier in the video, so that'll be our next. I've got a thing about this, haven't I? But which is the audio hot? It really doesn't matter. People don't need to do this, but that's negative. You don't get dry joints on these either. It's not to say you don't ever with years of use and heat and that, but I can't see anything on there, and it's not played up. But I don't know why the display is not mounted right. I'm just not convinced this is the black fronted real model. I can't prove that. I'm not going to stick the front on, I'll let the customer stick the front on. I'm putting black screws in, they're not black screws, are they, on these? Where would they come from then? Not supposed to be black screws, are they? Right, we've put it back together. I've just, Mr. Chippie wanted me. Why haven't we got any power? One and a Roger. Right, well there we go. That said a lot, didn't it? Not. Right, I just wonder if this one, just before we finish, if I can find a clipboard. I'm just wondering how his other one performed, because he was the owner of the normal silver fronted one. But I've done his quite a few sets apart, because I know the viewers to this channel aren't going to want to see the same sets day in day out. That's the EMS Mercury, Town Speedway, Fidelity 2001. It's not necessarily on the clipboard. No, I'd have to look back. Right, well there we go. That is the supposedly black fronted Uniden 100, which would make it about 1983, 1985 vintage, something like that. Seen some more paperwork here. Is this Intec 520? That's and that base station. Nope. Right. Okay. So we'll leave it at that and say thanks for watching the Uniden 100 service from about 1983, and there'll be an on-the-air test later on.